Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all doing well. And today, my friends, we're back with a community showdown. It's going to be Norsca led by Dogperson and Wulfric facing off against Khorne, who shall be led by the Sandwich and SKARBRAND. So it looks like it's going to be pretty standard stuff with the Minotaurs, dual weapons coming in. Certainly a very good answer against Marauder champions. Although, of course, Norsca does have its own answers against Minotaurs via the Javelins. However, Khorne Tours do actually have 70 armor, so it makes them a little bit more resilient against like non-armor piercing poke. Javelins have a little bit of AP, but generally speaking, I don't have a ton of armor piercing. So, taking a look here at the Norscan army, it's going to be Marauder champions. And these guys, I think, are one of the best infantry units in the entire game. And I'm even talking about like chaff and elite infantry, just like all-arounder, probably top 3 best infantry, if not one of the best. They just have insane stats, really durable, 53 melee defense, great weapon strength at 50, which is insane when you compare them to like Zargard, who costs more, if I'm not mistaken, and also have less HP, 14 less weapon strength. It's pretty crazy. And they also get the rage mechanic, right? So these guys get physical resist, they get leadership, they get melee attack as they're fighting. Absolute linebackers. But they are pretty vulnerable against like Minotaurs and characters like SKARBRAND. They can farm these kind of expensive elite infantry all day if you're not careful. It is going to be Wulfric up on the Mammoth, so you haven't seen Mammoth Wulfric in quite some time. But yeah, against like mass Khorne infantry style, like pretty good, but again, vulnerable against Vinos and SKARBRAND as well. Javelins are really going to be a big piece. He needs to get good utility out of these Javelins to be able to drag down the big targets. So for Khorne on the other side, it's going to be Big Daddy SKARBRANDO, Marlin SKARBRANDO coming across, and he does have, that's a great one. He does have the Rage embodied, so basically just the Rampage, which is really good. It lasts, I think, like 35 seconds, which is insane. Yeah, so if you're able to rampage an enemy character, Lord, and SKARBRAND's hitting him for like 700 weapon strength a pop, they're going to go down. There's few characters in the game who can withstand SKARBRAND. Apparently Gotrek can. Some people did some testing and Gotrek can go fisticuffs with SKARBRAND, which is pretty cool. Marauders of Khorne, dual weapon Marauders on the ground, a couple Minotaurs, not going to be the great weapon variant, going to be the dual weapon variant against the infantry, maybe expecting Marauder champions. And that appears to be it for the Khornate army. Now, as far as reinforcements go, both players are banking. You could see 1280 and 1295, so yeah, 1220. It's the exact same. But they're both banking resources for the late game here. So SKARBRAND coming in to farm some skulls, it looks like, or maybe thinking about it. It doesn't look like he brought the farming item, which makes sense. It's not, like, amazing. I still like to bring it just because it's super fun to see SKARBRAND's weapon strength go up over the course of a game, but I can understand trying to save like 200-300 gold on that item, and maybe allows you to get like a Minotaur instead of an infantry unit. You guys get the picture here. So Marauders moving across. We do get the Vanguards coming out here on the side. It is going to be the Horsemen with throwing axes. A solid choice indeed. Norsca does have a lot of lightly armored units, and these guys really wreck light armor in melee if they can charge. And on top of that, the throwing weapons are just an excellent counter against heavy armor like Marauder champions, and against the big Mammoth up here, who is going to be moving in with his 70 armor as well. Now, Giants are very cool. I do like the Giant. Norsca doesn't have any ways of healing their Giants, but we do get a Giant Hodor coming out. This one totally is like the Game of Thrones Hodor, but he's going to be charging across the battlefield, and this is a good answer against SKARBRAND. Giants, SKARBRAND in a one-on-one fight, I'm pretty sure SKARBRAND would win. Although, I don't know. It's tough to say. It depends. It depends. Yeah, he's got way better melee attack and much better melee defense, I think. Yeah. I think he would barely edge it out. It's hard to say. But, this thing only costs 1,500 gold. So if SKARBRAND decides to take that fight, the person controlling the Giant is going to be winning that trade all day, every day. So in terms of just pure value. So yeah, I really like the Giant. And Giants on like Ogre Kingdoms, I feel like, are another piece that's kind of slept on a little bit, considering that the Ogre Kingdoms do have access to healing, like Troll Guts and all that sort of neat stuff. The Greenskins, yeah, they don't have any way of healing their Giants. I guess it would just be the Ogre Kingdoms. And of course, if you're playing Warriors of Chaos, you can bring a Chaos Giant. And you can, use Festus with the healing aura. That was something we saw in some of the more recent 2v2 tournaments and all that sort of good stuff here. So, Marauder champs on the way up, going to be colliding with the Khornate Warriors. And these are mostly Marauders, although there are some Warriors in there. But the Warriors will get wrecked pretty bad by Wulfric, as well as the Veil Fiend of Pit of Shades. So, Pit of Shades plus Seafang. There's a lot of tools against these ground-based forces here, as the two armies do line up and collide on Objective 3 here in just a moment. Norsca using its superior range with the Marauder Horsemen to try and outrange the Khornate throwing axes. And now the frontline fighting is underway. Marauder champions against not Marauder champions, even though they look pretty much identical, which is pretty hilarious. But the Marauder champions are going to absolutely kick their butt. It's going to be a very one-sided fight, especially if the big man decides to get in here. Now we do see Wulfric colliding, supporting his Marauder champions, who did take a ton of damage. My goodness. They really got wrecked by these dual weapon Minotaurs. And oh, look at that. We got a sync animation. Nice. I do like that Minotaurs are a good unit now. And Javelins getting in there, doing a lot of work. Norscan Javelins are great. And like I said, these guys have some armor, but they're attacking Marauder champions. They're being attacked by Wulfric. Pit of Shades going down to the other side from Dogperson, going to be hitting the Chaos Warriors of Khorne. Very nice cast right there. Being able to, in the heat of all this, see where a good infantry unit is and, focus it with the Pit of Shades, it's definitely some good play. So pit fight here, Marauder Champions backed up by Wulfric should be able to kind of hold despite the shock damage they took. Your boy SKARBRAND just kind of farming skulls here in the middle. Looks like he was attacking these Marauder Champs and was able to get a terror out on them. So certainly quite nice. Objective 3 owned currently by Dog Person. And the other two objectives, though, it looks like the Blood Gun has taken even the home objective of Norsca with their wide army here. SKARBRAND continuing to chase down these units. We do see the Pit of Shades caster, Wulfric, and the Giant saturated onto Objective 3. Should be able to push off these Fleshhounds, if not kill them, depending on what the opponent does in reaction. Marauder Champions being attacked by Fleshhounds with Khorne. Going to be an extremely favored fight, probably for the Marauder Champions, just because their armor and super high melee defense. But the Doggos with sheer numbers might be able to wear them down. And we'll have to keep tabs on that. But oh man, Minotaurs, Bulls on Parade. Great song by Rage Against the Machine. But they are going to be getting in there, just plowing through these Marauders. Brutal, brutal damage there as we see the forces start to crumble under the pressure of the conjoined Khorne forces back here. Objective 3, going to be held by the forces of Norsca. Objective 2, though, Norsca is being a little bit outmaneuvered here in terms of the two front objectives by the Horseman Corps, although they do have their Horsemen here, and I would wager that Dog Person is going to be pulling these down and under and maybe jumping on Objective 2 to try and grab that back. But again, his army's a little bit more static. You know, he's got a Giant, he's got a Mammoth. They're units that like can't be everywhere at once. Now, looking at the value trading, Dog Person actually is ahead. Khorne, of course, does have the mobile advantage, or at least did for a moment, but, you know, with the Fleshhounds as well as the throwing axes here, but it looks like value trading mostly for Dog Person. We're going to have to see how this unfolds. So SKARBRAND coming in with the Atomic Karate Kick. Able to punt those Marauders, which is always pretty hilarious. I think SKARBRAND's hands down one of the coolest characters in the game. Oh yeah, we get another one right there. Oh my god, such brutal actions right there. So Marauder's broken, terrified and running. Dog Person's got his big nasty goon squad of the remnants of the champions, as well as the Veil Fiend and the Beast of Tashnar. Beast of Tashnar are very good here. Anti-large, pretty cheap. You can go after Minotaurs, can fight Fleshhounds reasonably well, so I do like the Beast of Tashnar as an inclusion. Now, as far as reinforcements go, Khorne going to be bringing in the Horsemen, as well as some Chaos Warriors, and on the other side, looking at the Norscan reinforcements, we do see a very nice Pit of Shades going down, tearing into the Marauders. And these Marauders, Javelins, as well as Marauder Berserkers, who will trade exceptionally well into Khornate Marauders. In the force, we do have SKARBRAND kind of rampaging a little bit. He does use Rage Embodied, and he's trying to catch these Horsemen here, which is interesting. They are Rampage, but they're not at the sub 80% threshold they have to be at, so a unit will not lose control when rampaged unless they're, I believe, below 80% HP. And then they can't be rampaged again in that same threshold, so they have to then go below like 40%. I can't quite remember, but there's like, they can only be rampaged once per HP like bracket threshold. It's something I have to look into. It's been a while since I've looked at that, but now we got a doggo duel over here. Norscan Ice Wolves, I think, generally do lose to Fleshhounds like in a head-to-head fight. They do have a lot more models, though, so maybe the superior model count. That would actually be a really interesting tech. I mean, if Norscan Ice Wolves, I believe these Fleshhounds were a little bit damaged before the fighting actually started, but that would actually be a very curious tech to kind of explore. If the Norscan Ice Wolves were actually a counter against Fleshhounds for a cheaper price point, because I believe they only cost 600, that would be, I mean, even still, this looks like a very cost-effective fight, considering Norscan Ice Wolves are a lot cheaper by, I believe, 150 gold, and here you can see the crumbling. Wow, look at that, man. Norscan doggos all day. So objective 3 still in by Norsca. The status quo remains for the other two objectives for the sandwich. We have some, I think we have like, yeah, so RTK has a sandwich. I think this is a different sandwich. We have two sandwich players. We should have a best of 7 series between them to see who the ultimate sandwich is. SKARBRAND, Hunter of Champions active on him. Wulfric, you know, he's not a mammoth. He's more of an anti-infantry character, but with Hunter of Champions active, you can put the melee defense of SKARBRAND down to 10 and can certainly get some decent trades there. This objective is now slowly being flipped, ever so slowly, by the Norscans with their Norscan Ice Wolves, as we see the last of these Minotaurs start to waver and potentially break here. Great Open Marauders coming in. Good call. Khorne usually likes to spam Warriors, so having the Great Open Marauders to trade up into Khorne Warriors is going to be very good. Yeah, the Khorne Warriors will win, but from a cost perspective, it's very, very cost effective. So this back objectives look like Dog Person is going to be getting this one back, and Khorne is moving out on the other side with their Horsemen, doing a little bit of harrying and skirmishing, trying to poke the Beast of Tashnar, and you know what? They might actually do good against the Beast if they get the charge, because they do have the bonus versus infantry, and Hounds are considered to be infantry-sized. So the Giant's still around. We see Dog Person with a very, very substantial lead in terms of value. 8.1 to 6,000. Khorne doesn't have any way to heal, obviously, so that is a true lead. There's no other variables like undead healing or, you know, just some various passives and whatnot. But SKARBRAND could still carry this game. If SKARBRAND were to get his clutches onto Wulfric and really kind of beat him down and rampage him, that could totally turn the tide of the game. And the Giant can't be everywhere at once. You'll notice how Hodor over here is just kind of standing there and having a little bit of trouble finding a home, which is often the case with Giants. In land battle, you kind of have to deal with them eventually, but in domination, they can be outmaneuvered. I still think they're very good in dom because you can plop them on a point and they can do quite well for themselves there, but overall, they are a little bit susceptible to being dragged around the map. SKARBRAND getting the big old stomp right there, sitting at 1855 value is Wulfric, and SKARBRAND with the soccer kicks, sitting at only 900 values. Yeah, he's going to have to get some work in, and now he's going after the big boy. I do think that with SKARBRAND, you should bring the Wrathful Reaper. It puts him up like over 1,000 weapon strength, and it's just so good. Like, if Wrathful Reaper was active right now, he could potentially kill Wulfric. But Wulfric, I mean, is still getting smashed, and is going to be rampaging for another couple seconds here. We got Fleshhounds coming in. Very nice. The value gap could be closing. SKARBRAND obviously is a vastly superior duelist, and we do see the Giant coming across, so Hodor is making his way. There's actually an opportunity for Khorne at the backfield. They could get in there and go after the Marauder Champions and maybe run them down if it gets a little bit too lightly defended over there. The big Kaiju fight, SKARBRAND battling the Mammoth. It looks like some of the Marauder Horsemen, a dog person, going to come in and intercept the Sandwich's forces and keep SKARBRAND from farming your boy Wulfric. And looking at the points right now, we do see a slight point lead for Khorne. But it's very close. It's within like 40 points of one another, so this game could certainly go either way. And now there is a Giant coming across. So, I mean, if you just subtract the Giant, you're able to kind of avoid him. The value looks, you know, surprisingly even, if not dead even. That Giant is like basically the difference in value that we are seeing on the battlefield here. So Wulfric going in for the 2v1, and it looks like the Mammoth is going to be getting a nice little charge there. Does some damage to your boy SKARBRAND. And now the Giant, Hodor coming in. Hodor with 700 weapon strength, which is absolutely insane. Going to be dropping some elbows here on SKARBRAND, and SKARBRAND probably going to want to retreat. I mean, he does have Fleshhounds helping him, but overall, yeah, it took a big hit there. He's going to want to run. So Khorne with the back objective, they were able to maintain that. So Norsca still has not been able to get its home objective back, and that 2-1 lead is very, very big. It actually looked like Norsca was going to get that back, but SKARBRAND kind of took the reins of that and was able to get the W on that back point. SKARBRAND at 4,900 HP. It looks like he's going after the Bale Fiend. SKARBRAND's pretty quick. You know, he does have 80 movement speed, so he can outmaneuver the 56 speed Mammoth, as well as the 39 speed Giant here. So the maneuverability of this Greater Demon of Khorne is proving to be a huge variable here. The SKARBRAND is looking to hunt. Yeah, taking out the Bale Fiend would be nice. I would imagine the Winds of Magic isn't like insane right now, but still the Bale Fiend is a 3 capture weight character. It's a pretty good fighter. It can individually take on many Khornate infantry, so dragging that thing down would be nice, but it looks like he's going to be changing. Oh, that's what it was. He sees Wulfric on his own, and now we see the big Minotaurs coming in. So the Minotaurs with great weapons were summoned in from the reinforcement pool, and they are going to be taking it to the Giant, and wow, looks like they're actually all inning your boy Wulfric here. Yeah, they're chasing him down. Norsca going to be trying to grab their back objective, parking the Bale Fiend there, as well as some of these units. Nice Seafang going down from Wulfric as well. Marauder Horsemen of Khorne attacking in melee against Wulfric, and probably get their throwing axes out and do a little bit there. But man, SKARBRAND's really trying to take this game on his back. He's sitting at 2,000 value right now, so he's gotten about 1,100. Horseman fight should be a bit of a pitched one. The Khornate warriors are a little bit lower, but their melee stats are vastly superior to that of the Norscan variants, but the fact that they were at like 60-70% when the fighting started means that the Norscan ones might be able to win. And SKARBRAND, look at that. He gets the clutch rampage. Oh my goodness, with the Minotaurs. There's definitely potential for a comeback here. The value differential is only like 1,000 right now. And if SKARBRAND's able to kind of close the deal here and seal this fight, then that would be a huge comeback. Because the Giant is just really, really struggling to kind of keep up here. All right, 133 HP. He's broken. Will SKARBRAND get the kill? It looks like the Beast of Tashnar summoned in from Dog Person. Oh, that's going to do a lot of damage against SKARBRAND as well. Those nibbling attacks, those anti-large attacks can definitely do it. 11 HP, and SKARBRAND, does he get the steel chair? He does! And he knocks Wulfric off the Mammoth and is able to take the leadership down of the Norscan army. So now the entire Norscan army is going to be suffering a leadership penalty of -16. So, for example, these Marauder Horsemen who are just at 15 leadership, -15, would not have broken had SKARBRAND not gotten the kill there. So that's pretty clutch. But now is Norsca going to be able to strike back here? Beast of Tashnar nibbling on SKARBRAND. He's at 3,400 HP. And the Marauders of Khorne, the Minotaurs of Khorne being attacked by the Beast, looks like they're going to be going down and most likely chased off. Norsca still has, I believe, some Marauder Champions out in the battlefield. They do. I don't actually know who wins between Marauder Champions and the Khorne Warriors. I think the Marauder Champions win because their stats are just, their weapon strengths at 50, and with how long the fighting goes, they typically get their enraged mechanics. So I do think that Marauder Champions will win the fight against the Khornate Warriors. Dude, this is a really, really close game, jeez. So Norsca does get the double cap. Oh god, I got the dreaded hiccups. Let's hope I can make it through this. We'll try our best. So, Objective 2 owned by Norsca, Objective 3 owned by Norsca. Here we do see the Famir Warriors with great weapons. Look at this, the Walmart Minotaurs are here. That's kind of cool, man. Get to see some Famir in action, but yeah, I mean, they're gonna definitely take it to SKARBRAND. Putting his armor down to 60. SKARBRAND's got to flee the scene here. He's at 1,700 HP. Fleshhound's going to be jumping on top of the Javelins, which is a nice pick because the Javelins were doing some really good damage. And SKARBRAND is able to get away. He does have some pretty high leadership considering he's basically on death's bed. And having SKARBRAND move in and attack these Marauder Champions, I do think is a good call. Man, dude, I just imagine if SKARBRAND had brought the item. His weapon strength would be, I mean, he's obviously wounded right now, so that lowers his weapon strength by 20%. But he would be like probably baseline like 800-900 weapon strength right now with that amount of kills. Pit of Shade's attempt from the Bale Fiend, who did get away earlier, and it does kind of catch the back of some of the Khorne infantry. Not going to be doing insane damage though, because it didn't quite hit the center mass, although no, those Khorne warriors are kind of getting it a little bit. Throwing axes moving in, and man, oh man, that giant is going to be an absolute menace. But if Khorne can just kind of keep bouncing between the points, and it looks like that's what's going to happen. See Marauder Horsemen maybe coming this way, intercepting the Marauder Hunter Javelins. Big charge coming in from the Barbarians from the north, although I guess they're all Barbarians from the north, and so one way or the other. And these guys are all in the family. They could be cousins for all we know. But Javelin's getting wrecked. That's the really cool part about the Khorne Horsemen. Look how quickly they just eviscerate a ranged unit. A ranged unit, which, mind you, isn't terrible in melee itself. So that's quite cost-effective. SKARBRAND getting in there, very, very risky. SKARBRAND actually attacks the Famir, and then it's going to be running away, although one of the Famir does get a nice attack on SKARBRAND. There are a couple of them, and he's like really, really close to crumbling, although how is his base leadership so high? More horsemen moving across, and these late-game horsemen proving to be big MVPs, as they do get the Relentless Rage, which makes them unbreakable, and they are able to just absolutely flatten the Beasts of Tashnar. This objective owned by Norsca, but Khorne is fighting pretty hard for it over here, and I think Khorne can probably rear charge into the Marauder Champs with SKARBRAND in hand, and they might be able to wrestle that point. So looking at the score, Khorne is up by barely like 20-plus points. It's very, very close, like 25 points right now. As SKARBRAND attacks into the back of the Marauder Champions, we do see some more Marauder Champion infantry coming out, proving how damn good they are as Minotaurs saturate into the back, good armor piercing. I honestly don't think anything's going to be able to kill this giant, though. This thing is just such an unholy terror. And Khorne is going to have to get some points quickly. Otherwise, Dog Person, I mean, when the game's this close, like, we're in the end game now. If he's able to get enough of a lead, it can become a triple cap situation really, really quickly before you can blink, really. Marauder Horsemen pulling back, being harried by some of the Marauder Horsemen of Norsca. These Chaos and Chaos, like, the units are so similar. It definitely gets a little bit tricky with some of these, especially with Khorne and Norsca. I feel like they have a lot of, like similarities with one another. Wouldn't it be cool if, like, Norsca got, like, a couple marked units, not like as many as like Chaos, but what if like they got like, they have the Brutes of the Hound, what if they got like the Heralds of the Raven and the champions of just like the various interpretations they have of the Chaos Gods, because they have the Raven, they have the Crow, they have the Hound, you guys get it. Like if they got like one ROR for each of those, that would be really cool. Have like a little bit of Nurgle representation, a little bit of Khorne there. Always fun. Now, Norsca with a little bit of a theft here. They actually sneak some of the Marauder Champions from that side point. Looks like there could be a triple cap here for Khorne. We'll have to see. On the backside, SKARBRAND sitting at 426 HP, looking a little bit dangerous as Dog Person does clench his dog jaws here on the game, as he does get that triple cap, and this is going to be really tough. Although Khorne does have the tools to get a couple of these points. Here are the Khornate Warriors. Yeah, those are Marauder Champions, man. Really just showing their staying power in this game. SKARBRAND with 140 HP. This guy certainly has no quit in him as he does move across, and is going to be heading on over to Objective 3. Might be able to ninja that with the Houndos plus himself. He's 3 capture weight. The Hounds are 3 capture weights. That's going to be 6, basically the equivalent of a little bit more than an infantry. And the Khorne Horsemen chasing down these other horsemen. They're at 17 leadership. More Khornate Horsemen circling around here, but removing these Marauder Champions from the objectives is going to be incredibly difficult, as we see the Khorne Marauders here being overwhelmed by the superior infantry, and Khorne going to be grabbing onto this point. I would be surprised to see SKARBRAND live here. Oh my god, 100 HP on SKARBRAND, juking the Javelin shots, as the Fleshhounds do get the jump on Beast of Tashnar, which they should win it, and SKARBRAND getting into combat here, guys. 24 HP, oh my god, he is so incredibly low. So low, but how is he still like there with leadership? He's sitting at 5 leadership despite having literally 24 HP. A Halberdier of Sigmar could come in and poke him in the ankle, and that man would break. Fleshhounds of Khorne doing some great work. Norsca holding on to the objective. A very, very pitched fight here as the Houndos do their thing. SKARBRAND, of course, providing what capture weight he can, sitting at 24, juking back and forth, dodging some of the shots. Horsemen getting chased off the side of the battlefield. And it does look like Norsca is going to pull the W. But man, oh man, this was a great game. And honestly, Khorne was pretty behind for some time, but at this point, I just don't see anything SKARBRAND's going to be able to do. That objective does flip to Khorne, but the other ones are not going to be flipped in time. The giant Hodor just kind of hunkering down to the side point. SKARBRAND lives to fight another day, although that's not necessarily what Khorne's looking to do, but that was a really good battle. Very fun stuff. And yeah, you see the power of Marauder Champions, one of the best infantry units of the game, and again, I think they could be a contender for the best, one of the most cost-effective. I think they're one of the reasons why Norsca is just so good. And like, even if they fight counters, their stats are so good with their enrage mechanic that they can win them. Crazy good value. Wulfric didn't do bad. Bale Fiend, the Pit of Shades were on point too from Dog Person. Those are really good. I love the giant tech. I really like to see the Bale Fiends too. That was fun. They brought some cool units, man. GG to both these players. SKARBRAND ended up with about 3,000 value, so he definitely paid for himself. And the Minotaurs, not bad. Minotaurs were a nice tech against the Marauder champions, but it didn't seem they were able to last long under the pressure of the javelins as well as the Marauder horsemen. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. We'll see you on the other side. Take care of yourselves, and congrats to both these players.